So authorities are on high alert in parts of eThekwini Metro following heavy downpours. The municipality says that damage has been reported in the Durban CBD and surrounding areas. The Metro issued a level 4 warning after the South African Weather Service urged for more vigilance. eThekwini Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda is expected to visit the affected areas today to take stock of the damage. We understand that the Premier of the province as well is expected to do that stock of the damage as well. We're now in conversation with Sonja Horsley, who is from the Disaster Relief Support Team, who's on the ground, and she joins us with the South African Weather Service meteorologist, Lehlohonolo Thobela. But Sonja, let's start off with you. Very good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. What can you tell us about the situation in the Durban city centre as well, its surrounding areas, and have there been any reports of fatalities?
Good morning. Thank you. Yeah, there has been reports of fatalities. So far, the services, like you know, has been working through the night endlessly, trying to see who they can rescue and who's trapped. Unfortunately, we have had a few reports coming through. The situation seems to be a huge area affected up North Coast, which is Sea Breeze area, Phoenix. It's a large, dense population of settlers also. We get a lot of people that is actually contacting us to try and apply for help as well. There's a lot of the temples that has opened up for people to go there last night for a safe, warm environment. Yet a lot of people didn't want to leave their homes in fear of losing the little that they have left to people stealing, obviously, and looting it. So, yeah, it's a very sad situation. But, yeah, it's large areas affected, and we are waiting, obviously, for more numbers. We do know that there's 1,200 people badly affected in Phoenix that lost everything at the moment. The government will go and obviously do a proper assessment today. They did go out last night, disaster management from the government, to try and start assessing the situation. So at the moment, we are just trying to see who we can help directly, because as you can imagine, it's really cold after that storm, and there's a lot of people that has lost a lot, and the little bit they have is wet, damp, and nothing to keep them warm.
Yeah. So early this morning, we reported that there have been 5 fatalities. Is that the number that you have as well?
Yes, at the moment, that's the only numbers we do have. But reports are coming in hourly. Yeah.
And the number of people that have been hospitalized, do you have that number by any chance?
I do not have that number at this moment.
Okay. Sonja, before I go to Lehlohonolo, speak to us quickly about emergency services trying to access these areas, and also considering the extent of the damage and the difficulty around it.
So there is some roads open that hasn't been so badly affected. Like I say, the emergency services has worked through the night, and then obviously we've had residents that actually came in to offer their services. We had people that had first aid qualifications, people with chainsaws and stuff, and they're just trying to help the services as much as they can.
Yeah. And a bit earlier on, you did speak about somebody who was trapped. Do we know of any more people who are trapped?
As far as I know, that they are actually getting people out as they go along, but not as vast number as people that just lost everything.
Okay, let's bring in Lehlohonolo Thobela into the conversation, meteorologist with the South African Weather Service. Lehlohonolo, very good morning to you as well. What is happening in KwaZulu-Natal before we move to the Eastern Cape?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Yes, in KwaZulu-Natal, so we had over the weekend, we had a cold front that made landfall over the southwestern parts of the country, was over the Western Cape. So it moved further east and dropped much more of the temperatures over the southern and eastern parts of the country. Now, just after it has made an exit over the eastern parts of the country, there was a cut-off low weather system, which is an upper air system that's known of dynamic weather like what we've seen in KwaZulu-Natal, which was situated over the central parts of the country yesterday. And the South African Weather Service issued a yellow level. I'm not sure of it was a yellow level 2 initially of severe thunderstorms that are expected over the central and the western parts of the province, which also included the eastern parts of the Free State province, which is expected to bring about hail, heavy rain, which might lead to flooding, as well as a lot of strong and damaging winds. Now, as that happened, the system then got to intensify in terms of then increasing the severity of the severe thunderstorm. Then the funnel cloud started to emerge from these clouds, which were severe and convective. The moment it touched the ground, resulted into a tornado, as what we've seen around Newcastle, and then moved all over to areas around Tongati and all the way to Palito.
Yep. So for today and the next couple of days, what can be expected in KwaZulu-Natal?
Okay, so in KwaZulu-Natal, it was just damaging winds, which was a warning was issued yesterday. This warning for damaging winds was expected for the central and the western areas, with much more of the winds expected mainly early warning up until just before 6 into 7 a.m. However, much of the showers and rain then have moved past of the province. It's mainly disruptive snow that's still expected over the high-lying areas of the Eastern Cape province, as well as the southern parts of the Northern Cape, as well as the Free State province, which might cause some disruptions in traveling. We also have disruptive rain that's still expected along the east coast of the Eastern Cape province, and much more of the wind and waves that are expected between Cape Agulhas all the way to Gqeberha for today.
Yeah, and just explain to us also what happened in the Eastern Cape over the weekend leading into yesterday and the early hours of this morning.
Yeah, so as mentioned about the systems that were following each other around the coastlines, as well as the central and the western parts of the country, the cutoff low weather system was also then included in bringing much more of the cold. So with this system, it is a cold core system, so it brings much more of the coldness, and with the freezing levels dropping to the level where we've seen much waking up to snow along the high grounds of the Eastern Cape province, as well as much more of the heavy rain. So not only does it bring the cold, it also brings much more conditions that result in heavy rain that leads to flooding. So in the Eastern Cape province, the system was situated just west of it, and it brought about much more of the moisture, as well as an influx of moisture that resulted in heavy rain that led to flooding, especially along the east coast. Hence, we had a disruptive rain warning for orange level 6, which meant the impact was really significant, with the high likelihood of the system resulting in the impacts that we've seen.
Yeah, I just quickly Googled now cold core, and I see that the other definition for it is also extratropical storms. Is it known whether this could be linked to climate change at all?
No, so we do have these systems. They usually happen much more in April, the cutoff low weather system. However, there are times where you'd have winter conditions in Gauteng, but you receive rainfall. This is usually due to this system being over the central parts and pushing much more of the perturbations through Gauteng and much places of the Highveld. However, though, the systems have then moved on to happening in the later stage, but when they do happen, cutoff low system, they do really result in such conditions.
Yeah. Sonja, let's quickly bring you into this conversation now as well. So we just heard what Lehlohonolo said about what is expected to happen today and also the next couple of days as well. What are the plans that the teams have currently? And also, from the lessons that have been learned from the previous disasters that have taken place. And I remember that there was an issue around the lack of coordination between private disaster management services as well as municipalities. Have you been able to work that out?
Okay, so I can't speak into the services and the communication between private services, because our support group is actually just, it's the whole community of Durban North, Pinetown, Bluff area, up to Mxolisi, which will be a community of people that actually just gathers and rallies up relief and support for the communities. So we gather from the community and distribute to the communities directly. So we are in contact always with the councillors and the community leaders, and we make sure within the first 24 to 48 hours, people get warm blankets, toiletries, food, and things like that, because there's always a delay with the government section where they go in and evaluate and then actually get relief and basic supplies to the people. So we do hear stories, but I can't disclose direct information because we're not involved with the government entities and support themselves. We do work closely with search and rescue and those kinds of organizations, government organizations. But like I say, we just make sure everybody gets basic needs like a warm blanket, clothes, food and stuff directly after the disaster happened. So they're not put out. And it's absolutely donations from people in the community that steps up, just like we did on the 2022 floods, and then supply to the people in need.
Yeah, but is that coordination amongst these various service providers much better than what we experienced in the previous storms that have hit KwaZulu-Natal? Specifically in your area?
Specifically in my area, I would say from 2022 floods, we've experienced that there is a lot more communication and coordination between individual groups and then the specific government organizations themselves. We can't complain about our metro, search and rescue, fire stations. All those really steps up and works really hard, and they do communicate back to us whatever they can to make sure that we can assist them.
Sonja Horsley there, disaster relief support, joining us from KwaZulu-Natal. But Lehlohonolo, as we conclude this conversation, what's your message to South Africans today?
Now, I think with the warnings that have been sent out, everyone should make sure that they keep in touch with all the radios as well as TV stations in terms of how the impacts have been, and make sure the warnings are followed and adhered to. Make sure to keep at home, be safe, and don't try to drive into river areas, or rather try every river stream and think that the car can drive through. Make sure that you are always on the safer side, and keep home and be warm if you can, and stay at home if it's possible, if there's no need to be on the street.
Lehlohonolo Thobela, thank you so much for your time as well. Meteorologist with the South African Weather Service. So do heed the call there, stay warm and don't take risks.